In the previous lecture, we looked at what a voltage and what a current is and related them to the fields. We also described why we can describe everything we want with only voltages and currents without going down to the level of details that we do in electromagnetics, that is with the fields and so on. Okay. And under certain conditions, we saw that there were two laws that were true for voltages and currents. One, the Kirchhoff's voltage law, which says that the sum of voltage drops taken with the appropriate polarity around the loop is zero, and the other one is Kirchhoff's current law, which says that the sum of currents entering a node or sum of currents leaving a node is zero. Now, Kirchhoff's voltage law works under the assumption that the rate of change of magnetic field cutting the loop is negligible, and Kirchhoff's current law works under the assumption that there is no local charge accumulation. Okay. Now, both these assumptions turn out to be true for a wide variety of practical circuits. That's why we are able to use them. Now, there are conditions under which it's not true. Basically, during the time period of the signal, if the circuit is physically so large that it takes so much time for, let's say, the electrical signal to go from one side of the circuit to another, then these things will not be true. A very common example is an antenna. Now, many of you would have seen antennas, which are basically just a wire hanging in the air, but current is driven into it. Clearly, current is not going off into the air. What happens is that the current alternates back and forth within the antenna, and if you look at different parts of the antenna, they will have different currents. Okay, KCL is clearly not true in that case. But besides that, KCL is true. Okay, when you are not talking about such large circuits, large meaning large compared to the electrical wavelength, KCL is true, and as is KVL. Okay. Now, before I go further, if there are some important doubts regarding what we covered in the previous lecture, I'll go over them. Okay, so it appears that there are no questions. So we'll continue with the lecture. What we'll do in this lecture is to discuss basic electrical elements, that is two terminal elements, and see their characteristics. Okay. So before that, let's see what an electrical circuit is. It's an interconnection of electrical elements, and electrical elements are some things. We'll see examples of that, which take some voltage or current and manipulate them in some way. Okay. So every electrical element is defined by at least one voltage and a current. Okay. So every electrical element, it turns out, will have at least two terminals. I will show the terminals here, and as I emphasized in the previous lecture, a voltage is applied between two terminals and a current is measured into this terminal. Okay, and the same current will come out of it if it's a two terminal element. So electrical circuit will consist of interconnections of elements, which can be either two terminal elements or it can have more than two terminals. Okay, the initial examples that we will see will all consist of just two terminals. And so two terminals is the minimum number of terminals we need to have a meaningful definition of voltage or even a current. Okay, because with a single terminal, we don't know the voltage with respect to what that is that we are measuring. And similarly, if you push in a current into a single terminal, there is the question of where it will go out. Okay, so we'll have two terminal elements. Or maybe more than two terminals. Okay, that is more than or equal to two terminals. In this course, we will not worry about how to make these different elements, but we will only take their characteristics in terms of their voltages and currents and use them to make some circuits and analyze the circuits. Okay.